Alrighty, just hit start on the record. Let's go. Hell yeah, welcome back everybody. Session 8. We're down to 8 weeks now. Sorry for not putting out the announcement a bit sooner. I've been moving all week and it's been absolute hell. But we got the PC set up. That was probably the scariest bit, pulling the GPU out of the fucking box and getting everything traveled over. But hey, we're online and we're running it. So I even got my fucking hardcore WoW subscription back. So we somehow are not lagging from this basement. So fuck it, I'll take it. I will take it. Yes, it should. Because I think what was happening is when I was live streaming, it was cutting out the Discord audio. So now I'm just recording and not live streaming, and I'm just gonna yeah. I'll have to figure that out later. I just didn't have enough time this week with everything going on. Yeah, there's the videos saved for for the live streams, but when I was live streaming, I was live streaming and recording, and then I would also post the recording, but I'm just doing the recording now. Let's see. You guys already know that's the. I don't like these little chickens. All right, there we go. All right, so yeah, we're just gonna jump right into it today. Um, so we're gonna. Oh, and actually, I think I there had to share my screen for you guys. I think I might have also dropped the deck into the resource channel as well. So if you guys want to either just follow along or look at my screen, up to y'all. Um, but yeah, we're just gonna really jump into things. So yeah, so control flow. The honest truth about where most people are when they first start writing code. They write scripts top to bottom. Line one runs, line two runs, line three runs, done. And that's about it. You know, that's how we start. But a program that just runs top to bottom isn't really responding to anything. It's not making decisions. It's not adapting. It's just executing. Control flow is what changes that. Control flow is what tells Control flow is how you tell your code, based on what's happening right now, do this or do that. Um, but a program, let's see, no, there we go. Think about any app that we've ever used. When we log into a site, something checks if your credentials are valid. That's control flow. When you're scrolling a feed and it loads more content, that's a loop. When you hit checkout and it says you don't have enough funds, that's a conditional. Every meaningful thing that happens in software is driven by control flow, and if you can't write it cleanly, your code is going to be messy, hard to read, and super full of bugs. So tonight we're going to kind of go over and cover all of that stuff, conditionals, loops, switches, ternaries, and at the end we're going to play a little bit of a game to kind of put it all together. Um, we're going to read some real code snippets, and try to see if you guys can tell me what they say or what they do. There's going to be no tricks, no gotchas, just see if you guys can trace the logic. I feel like that's one of the things that, our boot camp was kind of lacking on. Like they just bypassed it so quickly. So, after we finish this game too, I'm going to also try to design a little, almost like LeetCode, but a little bit easier to kind of get everybody in the mindset of how we need to use these before looking at some of those other LeetCode problems. Because I've even noticed some of their easy ones are still a little bit tricky if you don't exactly know what you're supposed to be writing or how to write these things. So without further ado, ifs, else, and else ifs. So if else, this is the most basic form of decision making in code. The idea is simple. If something is true, do this. Otherwise, do that. As you can see here, we're going to walk through this problem. Temp is 72. Is 72 greater than 80? No. So we skip that block entirely. Is 72 greater than 60? Yes. So we run the else if block and log bring a jacket. The else at the bottom never gets touched because obviously we don't go below 60. I think just looking at these formats too is also just really good because I feel like we don't see them very often when they're talking about, all the different aspects of what we're having to learn through a full stack development course. Thank you. I thought I'd try to reel it back in and make things bring things back to the fundamentals after the last two were a lot of just very heavy loaded material. Yeah, and I'm gonna try to stick around the fundamentals for a little bit little bit longer too, at least the next 3 or 4 weeks. I think a part of me just really wanted to get out we start at the front end, let's fully finish out that full stack and then sweep back around. Um, the key things to understand about if-else chains, the first condition that's true wins. Everything else after that gets skipped. Now here's when people start to stumble, and I've seen this in code reviews a couple of times, and it's when they write conditionals that are technically correct, but really hard to read. Let me see if I have one on here. Yes. All right. So is logged equals true. If is admin true, do admin stuff. Else do regular stuff. On the other side, having, if is not logged in, redirecting to with a return rather than if is admin, just trying to get things a little bit cleaner. So what we did here is we kind of flipped the logic. We handled not logged in case first and then returned out of the function. Then the rest of the code only runs if they're logged in. This pattern where you handle the failure cases early on in return is called a guard clause. It's a real thing, and you will hear this during interviews of, hey, what could we do to guard clause this function or this conditional? And right here is a great example. Flipping it to, check to see if they're even logged in before wanting to do all this extra stuff. So what's a real decision your app has to make, that would use an if-else statement? Like I know you guys have been kind of starting to design your own app. Like, is there like any conditionals you've had to use yet, or? Yeah. Yeah, and I mean it could even be as simple as like even like having a button that's disabled, and button is disabled unless X, Y, and Z parameters are filled, and then it'll open back up. So yeah, they're definitely fun, and they're just it can be a pain sometimes. Let's see, loops. All right, conditionals done. Now we're hitting the loops. A loop is just do this thing multiple times. That's it. The question is always how many times and how do we decide when to stop? We have our for loops. The for loop is the most common. You use it when or you can figure out how many times you want it to iterate. So typically your for let I equals 0 or wherever you need to start. How high you want it to go up to and what kind of indicator it's going to be, whether it's I++ or I minus minus, whether you're, incrementing or decrementing. So yeah, 3 parts: the initializer, where do we start, conditioning, where do we stop, and increment, what changes each time. One thing I want us to lock in on is loops start at 0 by convention, not 1. 0. So if you run the loop while I is less than 5, you get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 iterations, not 6 or 4. Um, this trip exactly, yeah. And those can trip people up constantly in interviews. The loop runs while I is less than 5. Count them out loud if you have to. Um, then we have our while loops. While loops are a bit different. Use it when you don't know exactly how many times you need to run. You just want to keep going until a condition is no longer true. Um, so let's do I have a yep, there it is. Um, so this one starts at 3, logs it, decrements, um, checks again. Is 2 greater than 0? Yes, log it. Decrement is 1 greater than 0? Yes, log it. And then it goes all the way to 0 and then stops. A good real world example, you might use a while loop to keep reading user input until they enter something valid, or keep retrying a network request until it succeeds. It keeps going until we're done logic. Um, Meanwhile, you have your do while. Now here's one that that like our boot camp glossed over. I don't even think they even brought this one up. Um, it's the do while. This one runs body first before it ever checks the condition. So even though x is already 10 and 10 is less than 10 is false, it still logs 10 once because it executes then checks. A use case for this would be like you want to show a dialog box at least once and then keep showing it until the user dismisses it. The first render always happens, then you check if you need another one. When would a while loop make more sense than a for loop? What do y'all think? Well, I mean, I feel like even like, a hacker or someone might use something like this, right? To have something pop up on someone's computer. Like, hey, I want you to do this before it checks. I'm not sure. I don't have any hacking experience. I don't know shit about it, but that would be my idea at least. What do you think, Dylan? Yeah, what would make a while loop more sense than a for loop? Hell yeah. Oh, that's dope. Yeah, no, yeah, because I feel like I don't know too many real cases. That's really cool getting some insight. Because you do a lot of back end, don't you? So I mean, so could you then use like while loops or for loops when wanting to like find or join certain tables? Or no? Okay. Okay. Hell yeah. Perfect. So now we've got some classic loops covered. Now we're going to chat about more modern iteration patterns, and the two keywords that let you control what happens inside of a loop. We're going to start with for of. For of is a clean, readable way to loop over an array. You don't need an index variable. You just say for each thing in this array, do something with it. It's pretty simple, clean, readable. This is what you should reach for most of the time when you're looping through an array. And then you have for in, which is different. It's for objects. It gives you the keys, not the values. If you want the values, you do user inside of what would be your array key inside the loop. But remember, for in gives you keys. This is a classic interview question. What's the difference between for of and for in? And now we know. One's for arrays, one's for objects. I don't know if I don't think that's necessarily it because like I mean I think this is based off of like JavaScript logic. Um, but that is a good question. Let me see. Okay, I got an answer. That makes sense. Yes. So, so since for in it's given when it's for objects or you want to use it for objects because it's giving you the key, not the value. So just in the same as it would be for an array, you'd be getting the indexes the indexes rather than the strings. So the indexes come back as strings, and it could also pick up extra properties added to the array prototype, which is an unexpected behavior. So like you can, but you probably don't want to. No, that was a fat question. I like that. That was nice because like that had me stumped. Exactly. See, this is why I like doing it with other people. You know, that you guys really get to open up the whole prompts and it gets to open up our brains and actually use them. I like it. Hmm. Well, and I'm also wondering that, like, because like it was saying that like if you want values when working with the object for in, you could just do like the user where I don't think they have it on here, but it'd be like user and then like your square bracket key another and square bracket, and that would search for the values rather than the keys. So I wonder if you could also do that for arrays rather than searching for the indexy, use some sort of like, square bracket, key or whatever it may be to find that value. But at that point, why not just use for of, right? At least that's where my brain's going with the tracking. Shoot. Well, if you figured it out, yeah, definitely let me know because I'm curious about that. Okay. Yeah, I'm like there's work. I'm sure there's workarounds for about everything, but it's like why do it like kiss method, keep it simple, stupid, right? uh, Same. Uh, Break and continue. So two more keywords that we need in our toolkit. Break exits the loops entirely the moment it fires. Continue skips the rest of that one iteration and moves on to the next. Um, some real world stuff for this one. You might want to continue to skip invalid entries in a data set, or use break when you've found what you're looking for and there's no reason to keep iterating. And I feel like that's exactly what you're doing with your while loops, right? Dylan, like once you find this, break out of this loop, right? Yeah, and like exactly what you want to do with it, but break would be like uh, a low end case example, right? Yeah, no, absolutely. Facts. And that's why like I was really hyped for this lesson because I feel like yeah, sometimes those leak code problems they can just be a little bit too either tricky or difficult, and trying to find a instead of just only having one or two sites to go on to practice, why not trying to use these AI tools now to create ones that are actually allowing you to practice application at a much faster pace, which will allow it to sink in and make it a lot more fun because you're achieving more rather than just constantly being stuck for 30 minutes. Um, Switch and ternary. So two more tools before we hit the game. So switch. Oh, what's up? Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. Welcome, welcome. I also just noticed that them two might be up there. I'm gonna try to pull them. I'm gonna pull them down. Oh, she left. She might be having issues. Uh, oh yeah, I'm glad you hopped in though, because you're just in time for the game right after this these two sections. So yeah, so switch. Yeah, there's a game today. So switch. When you've got a variable that can be one of many specific values, switch is cleaner than a long chain of else if statements. The break at the end of each case is important. Without it, execution falls through to the next cause, which is sometimes a bug, sometimes intentional. But we're going to test you guys on this one in the game. Um, really? Jeez. I still haven't even messed. I haven't messed with Python at all. Like I really want to learn it. Oh, well, but Dan, I'm really excited. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I think I'll have to like try to make a project to try to do. Oh shit. Uh, I figured I was like, there's an inside one going on over there. Ternary operators. The ternary. This is something that they do cover in our boot camp, but they did it very quickly. And it was just something that they'd throw in there, and if you read it and took notice, then you start to get these. But yeah, ternaries are just one-liner if else statements. Condition, question mark, true result, colon, false result. No, there we go. Right, there we go. You can chain them like this to replicate else if logic. Use ternaries. Use ternaries when the condition is simple and readable. If it starts getting hard to read, just write a regular if else statement. Readability beats cleverness every time. Um, because you don't know who's going to be reading your code, and so you want to make sure they can read it over just trying to be clever. Um, a good interview tie-in would be interviewers love asking, what is the ternary operator and when would you use it? A good shorthanded answer would be, it's shorthand for if else, great for simple inline expressions, bad for complex logic. Again, readability over cleverness. Um, all right, let's pull all of this together with something real. So yeah, so let's say on this Jet's Pizza website thing, we have a menu with a bunch of items. Each item has a price and a category, and roughly how logic like this would look in a real code base. Um, this is a control flow doing actual work. We're looping over real data, we're making decisions based on real properties, and the output is meaningful. Um, when we were putting this together in the WTR project, what to wear, the entire core feature was conditional. What's the current temperature and what clothing do you recommend? Literally, if temperature is above 86, suggest a tank top. Else, if temp below, 68, suggest a light jacket. That's what's shipped. Control flow isn't just abstract. It's the engine inside every feature, we've ever built. Um, and that, yeah, now we have the game. So you guys have already seen this problem, but there are 14 problems. So, um, you know, obviously there'll be some new stuff. Um, Yeah, I've called this one Control Flow Dojo. Got 14 challenges. Each one is a real code snippet and asks us what it does. No tricks, no dark magic, just some trace logic. Some of them are easy. Some will have a little gotcha, like switch fall through or do while running before the check. Those are the ones that will get you if you're not paying attention. So here, we're going to do this. I'll put the challenge up, give everyone about 20 to 30 seconds to think. Then we vote, drop it. You guys, there's just a couple of us in here, so you guys can just shout out the answers of what you think it might be. Then we'll go through the explanation. Not really a test, just some practice. The goal is to, see, just to fucking see what we got. And, understand why we get them wrong. So, we can actually get the reps in and have it stick. So I think we all know what the answer is on this one. There we go. So yep, 70 is not higher than 80, so the first block skips. 70 is over 60, so else if fires and print spring jacket. Alrighty, how many times does this loop run? Feel free to shout it out whenever you know. And we don't have to wait the full 30 seconds if you guys know. I starts at 0 and runs while I is less than 5, so I 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, total of 5. What does this one print? And we'll do like A, B, C, D, if you guys want that as well. Mm-hmm. Yep. Starts at 3, logs, decrements, stop counts when it hits 0 because not 0. If there was an equal sign next to this, then it would include the 0. Otherwise, it's 3, 2, 1. So I told you some would trip you up. All right, what gets logged? Everyone agree? All right. Well, so I know it's this one, so we're gonna do this one though, just so pizza fails the check silently. Tacos match. Yeah, that's why I wanted to fail, so that way you can see. Hmm. Yep. So yeah, we log found it, then break immediately. Pizza never gets logged. What gets printed? How dare you? Yeah. Switch matches Tuesday exactly. Uh logs weekday stack day, break exit, default never runs. All right. What gets logged? Yeah, it would essentially just take out this line, move it up here with two ampersand statements or signs, and then drop it down. Yeah, down the line, we're definitely going to do a Python day after like I've learned Python. We're definitely going to have a Python day. Absolutely, that's what I'm going for. I've seen those. The oh, I thought. What about? I thought it was. I think it's Mimo. Yeah. It's like Duolingo. I'm pretty sure I have it on my phone. I don't use it often, but it's called Mimo. Yeah, MIMO.org. But I've fallen so far behind in the Mimo thing because it starts you at literally like the most basic HTML, and I just haven't wanted to like turn my brain off and type through all of it yet. I need to though. Well, it's more so like it's okay. Like here's like the image tag. Where do you put the the opening, the less than sign and the greater than sign? Where do you put the IMG? It was like just and then you just drag them, and I'm like, it's literally like Duolingo. I'm like, I know this part. Just like, come on. It's not bad though. It's not bad. I think it's just one of those like little tedious things of like, I just want to be at the harder stuff. You know what I'm saying? Ooh, next one. What is this print? Okay, right side. Side was correct. Yeah, it's even. Only 2 and 4 pass that check. 1, 3, and 5 are odd and get skipped. Since there's no 0 in the actual nums, that's why 0 would not be included. Because we're not actually dividing it or modding anything by 0. We're taking n of the two, right? So we're going through 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the only numbers viable to take it would be 2 and 4. Because this isn't necessarily just like not hey, we're dividing by 2. This is, hey, we're just trying to find an even number. Yes. Yes, but this is essentially the way you'd write, hey, I need to find an even number. Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, yeah, yeah. We're both. Yeah, yeah. Perfect. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because yeah, like I feel like I haven't used like this is what has like tripped me up in the past of like, hey, when you are trying to find evens or try to find the remainder, and because you want the remainder drop off of whatever the question was asking. And I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, and like and for me, like, when I first looked at these types of problems back in the day, it was like, okay, n divided by two equals zero. Well, that's only this one. Where's that? Where's just two? And like it took me. I feel like the boot camp didn't really explain that, like, well enough that, like, no, this is dropping off remainders. Like, this is what we're actually checking for, and that's why you know how to pick two and four rather than, you're like, hey, where's just the number two? You know? Like, at least I know that was like a little stupid, silly thing that tripped me up when I first started looking at it. Um, what gets logged here? Yep, continue skips the rest of the iteration when I equals 2, so 2 never gets logged. Everything else just prints normally. What does age hold after this runs? Yeah, I was like, wait, what? Yeah, 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 agreed. Yep, that is a typo. Yeah, that threw me off too. I was like, whoa, what? I did. So my fault for not. To be fair, I didn't go through the game because I didn't want to know the answers, so I haven't gone through this game. My bad. I'm sorry. It's so what does grade hold after this runs? So so this is pretty much just saying if that's correct, that this is the true thing. Otherwise, jump on over here. Do this instead. This is true, do this instead. So so if it's not yeah, so if it's not true, like 85 isn't greater than 80, that's not true. So then we do this. What else? 85 is bigger than 80. which brings us down to this one. Hey, that is true, so that's why it's B. Otherwise, like say if this was like 79, that would be false, and then we would do C. So that's why it's B. Which again, yeah, the chain just works the same as the else if. Just written super weird. All right, what gets logged here? Doo-doo. So nothing? Alrighty. The answer's 10. So, the reason why, so do, while always runs the body at least once before checking the condition. So since x is set at 10 and we're console logging x, we're instantly logging x. Then we increase, which makes this 11, and then we hit the while, which means 11 is not less than 10, which means this will then break. So all that's it will really do is just console log and print the x. Yep. Then x becomes 11, 11, blah, 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 which is false, so it stops. Not breaks. That's the wrong term to use, stops. Because break is a different thing. I'm telling you. No, they didn't even do, they didn't do wow, dude. They didn't do wow. Yeah, it was, yeah, wow and then do wow. And then the slides are also posted in the resource tab for you to go back through as well. And then what does this one log? Yep. Foreign iterates over the keys of an object, not the values, so it logs name role active unless, like he said, we plug it back in. It exactly. All right, what gets logged? I'm really starting to hate that all the answers are in the same. Yeah, I'm hating that all the answers are in the same spot. Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna be chewing out my program for next week. Like, yo, homie, what the fuck? An empty string is falsy in JavaScript. The double lines operator returns the right. Yeah, the or operator returns the right side. Thank you. That's what. Thank you. The vertical bar operator returns the right side when the left is falsy, so displays equals guessed. What gets logged? Watch the breaks. Let's see, zoom out a little bit. There we go. Are you only saying that because it's always been the top right? So no break after silver or the case before it. So execution falls through from silver into bronze. Both 10% off and free return gets logged before the break fires. So it trickles down. Yeah. Right here. All right. What is the final value of the result? It's also the final question. Same. If I'll I'll explain the thought process, my thought process behind it. And dude, it clicks instantly. It's a reversal of something we've already done. Yeah. So the problem that Yep, so the problem we did earlier was helping us find evens because of the remainder. So this one is saying if there's an odd number, we want to increase the result by that number. So if we already know from our problem we did earlier that 1 through 5, 2 and 4 were the evens, that 1, 3, and 5 are the odds, so you just have to add 5, 3, and 1, which gives you 9. So the loop runs 1 to 5. The condition only keeps odd numbers 1, 3, 5. 1 plus 3 plus 5, 9. Yay. So, like I said, I'm gonna also toss this code flow thing into the resource tab, so anybody else who didn't get to play or see it, can try it, or you guys can play it later on. I'm also going to try to make another one where we are actually able to write different little if, while loops, things like that, to actually get us thinking on actually applying it to our keyboards rather than just seeing it. So once I have that up, I'll add everybody, and we'll get that going. Other than that, before I I finish the recording, I'll just do a little close thingy on it real quick. That was session 8, control flow, conditionals, loops, switch, ternaries, all that. Foundational stuff, and I hope tonight it made it click in a new way for everybody, especially seeing some things that you might not have before. Quick reminder, everything we cover here is building toward something you'll be able to use and be able to talk about and code, not just write. When someone asks, walk me through how your app handles X, that answer is made of control flow. Know it cold. If you want to keep playing the game after tonight, it'll be in Discord. Let's see if you guys can try to get a perfect run. Thank you guys for showing up every day, every week for this stuff, and putting your ideas in the channels, and really participating and making this shit fucking awesome. Without it, I don't think I'd be continuing it, if it wasn't for you guys. So I really appreciate it all, and I hope to see you guys next week.